Welcome, Congressman Green. And how was your trip to the southern border?
Oh, it was really good, Dan. And, thanks for having us on. We took, I called it the border boot camp. Being a military guy, I just thought it was the right terminology. We took all the brand new freshman congressmen who are on my committee down to the border. It was the largest congressional delegation trip to the border that the Homeland Security Committee has ever had. And just got to see a little bit of it all. We started at one of the crossing sites, and while we were there, they got about 70 pounds of fentanyl that tried to drive right across the border. Went out to the border wall and did literally what they call the dog and pony show. We got to meet the horse guys and we got to meet the dog guys, and it was just a great trip. Talk to Border Patrol, and get the real story, not the Biden-Mayorkas story, which is obviously deception and subterfuge, but it's crazy. It's insane what's going on at our border. It's an open border, and the drug cartels have really seized operational control of the border. So we gotta fight, and that's what we're going to do.
Well, Congressman, one of the things that you've said is you were surprised to see when you went down to the border about how the drug cartels are using diversionary tactics. And so talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so essentially I call it a neutralizing attack. That's a military term. Essentially, the cartels are flooding the crossing sites with people, mass waves of people. So the Border Patrol has to thin the line in the rural areas in order to process these, mass waves of people. And they do it, from a strategic perspective, they do it at the crossing sites, and then they have free access basically to the country in the rural areas. On a tactical level, they've got a scout on a hilltop that sees Customs and Border Patrol, and they literally send 20 or 30 people to that person to turn themselves in. While that person is tied up, the drugs come running around the other side of the hill. So it's both it's tactical and the strategic level. The cartels are in control, and Mayorkas just doesn't get it. Or well, I take that back. You gotta see this as intentional. There's no other way to view it. They're not that stupid.
I don't know, Congressman. They're pretty dumb, but moving on from there. Calling for Alejandro Mayorkas, many Republicans have called for Congressman Mayorkas, head of Homeland Security, of course, to be impeached. Secretary is going to be impeached. Talk a little bit about that. Is that conversation going to happen today?
No. What we're doing today this is our sort of first salvo. So we're going to, the goal today is to show essentially that every American is at risk with this open border. And we're going to have a mother from Michigan who lost 2 children to fentanyl overdose. She had a 19-year-old and a 20-year-old son that were at a party. Everybody in the hotel room took this drug they thought was something else, and it killed everyone in the room. And she's going to talk about just how horrible that was. And we're going to have a sheriff from, I think, Arizona, who's going to talk about crime in his base in his county and what it's costing the community there. We've got a hospital CEO who's going to talk about, basically he can't, people in his community can't even go to the hospital because it's overwhelmed with migrants, with illegal aliens, and the uncompensated care is about to bankrupt the hospital. Now, this is a hospital on the border, so it's obviously much greater there, but this is something that's happening all over the country. So there's a dollar cost to this. And when you let 4.7 million people into the country, 25 states in the country have populations less than 4.6 million. So it's a massive cost financially. Just the processing centers alone are $68 million to operate quarterly. So, it's insane, the financial cost. It's insane, the human cost. And no American is safe from this. We're all paying the price of Mayorkas's, open border. And so we're going to make that point today. And every American is at risk here. And we're going to do a border hearing. We're going to take everybody to the border. for a committee hearing on mid-March. The goal there is it's Mayorkas's fault. And then after that, we're going to begin more of a deep dive into Mayorkas's failures or intentional destruction of the country. And after that, we'll build a case and hand it off to the judiciary. My committee doesn't have the authority to do impeachment, so we're just going to go get the facts.